A Southwest Michigan lawmaker wants to make courthouses safer. New at 10, Representative Kim Lasada introduced legislation that would increase the maximum penalties for people who commit courtroom assault. It's part of a three-bill package. WSBT 22's Danielle Kennedy is here now. And Danielle, the bills are in response to the Berrien County courthouse shooting.
Rick, Lasada's husband is a Berrien County judge. The shooting happened in the hallway outside of his courtroom. The memory of that July afternoon will forever stay with Representative Kim Lasada. Bailiffs Ron Kinzel and Joe Zangaro were shot and killed after police say an inmate named Larry Gordon took a deputy's weapon and started firing.
What this bill will hopefully do is prevent maybe some of those people that are thinking about going to a courtroom and shooting someone. Hopefully they'll think twice about that.
The three-bill package aims to increase the maximum penalty for acts of courtroom assault from 10 to 15 years. It would also allow
protection, but I think it does increase the protection. Deterrence is one of the realities that does work. I mean, if somebody knows that there's a greater penalty, they'll think twice.
The Berrien County Sheriff's Department says changes have been made since the shooting last July.
We always been taking our jobs very seriously, but now since we lost two of our friends, that I think it's brought our employees to a different level to be careful every day and to use the protocols that we have set place.
And now potentially a new law which may prevent violence from happening again in a Michigan courtroom.
Joe and Ron would both be happy. You know, they lived in police work and court work. They worked very hard and they were very diligent in making sure that the courtroom and the courthouse was as safe as it could be.
The bills are also in response to an incident that happened at a courthouse near Lansing last summer. A defendant tried to stab an assistant prosecutor there. Lasada says it has already gotten bipartisan support. Rick, it's under review by the Law and Justice Committee.
Danielle, thank you. Formal charges have now been filed against Edward Blackburn in the shooting death of 35-year-old Cord Colgrove. Colgrove was shot in the face Friday evening, and officials say more charges could be filed tomorrow against a second suspect, Augusta Haddon. While the investigation continues, the victim's loved ones say they're shocked something like this could happen to a guy who they say was willing to help anyone. Sarah Shaw says she's been friends with Colgrove since high school.
It's almost like it hasn't hit yet. Still, you think he's going to come around the corner and be there and do one of his goofy moves to make everybody laugh or say something funny or do something funny with his hair.
And she says that Colgrove also loved Mustangs, motorcycles, and doing tattoos.
Good Monday evening. I'm Matt Rudkin in the Forecast Center. A nice quiet evening for now, but things are going to change here in the coming hours. Let me show you our storm tracker radar. Now, what radar's not showing is the very light sprinkles or drizzle you may be seeing out there. And I know that at least when I came to work about an hour and a half ago or so, you could see it on the windshield. And I'll show you our camera up in St. Joseph. Let me zoom out here. Look at this big line of storms. So far, 11 reported tornadoes or tornado reports, hail the size of about golf balls in some locations, and winds up to about 80 miles an hour. You look at this, your heart's probably racing a little bit, right? With these tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. But ahead of it, especially northern Illinois and northwest Indiana, where we live, the air is much more stable. So these things are running into a brick wall, or will, in the next 150 miles or so. Outside right now in St. Joe, there's the camera lens, a little bit wet, and you can see the streets have some water on them. So very light rain droplets out there. But I am expecting heavy rain. Those storms, yes, they will diminish in intensity, but they won't completely fall apart. We will get some heavy rain. I'm going to time it out hour by hour for you. We'll talk about the potential for lightning and thunder tonight, as well as some gusty winds. I'll have your full forecast here in just a few minutes.
All right, Matt, thank you. The search for a suspect isn't over. South Bend SWAT helped several warrants at a home on the city's northeast side this morning. We told you about this as breaking news at midday. South Bend police say Elkhart County investigators believe that a suspect was in that home in the 1200 block of Madison. A man and woman left the house, but police did not find the suspect inside.
There was information that they believe this party's been involved in an armed situation. Anytime we're dealing with weapons and the history of the individual, it warrants a little more attention.
Police say from the time they arrived until they entered the house, it was about an hour. Elkhart County has not identified the suspect or why they want to talk to him. Congresswoman Jackie Walorski met with small groups of constituents today behind closed doors. Many have been pushing for her to host a town hall meeting, which she is not committed to doing yet. Walorski says she always has an open door policy, and she prefers sitting down with people and having a conversation and getting into details, which is hard to do in some of those settings.
I just think that, when we're talking about really drilling down, having a chance to hear from people, this kind of an open door opportunity is incredible. It's incredible for me as well to be able to actually listen, take notes, and integrate into the conversation all these different things.
Walorski has been invited to a town hall meeting April 9th at the Century Center, and she has said she hasn't said yet whether she will attend that. New at 10, House Republicans have announced their plan for replacing the Affordable Care Act. The measure would roll back the government's health care role and is expected to result in fewer people having insurance coverage. The American Health Care Act would eliminate fines on people who don't purchase health insurance. Instead of the statute's income-based premium subsidies, people would get tax credits based on age. The subsidies would phase out for higher-earning people. House committees have planned votes on the legislation for Wednesday. President Trump is taking another crack at his executive order on vetting and banning who comes in and out of the U.S. The revised travel ban comes with a number of noticeable changes, which the administration believes will survive any further court challenges. We have team coverage of the so-called Travel Ban 2.0, beginning with Joe Waldman on Capitol Hill.
They took out Iraq, and there's some better language that'll make it harder to mount a court challenge. It's the same executive order.
Passengers at the nation's airports reacting to President Trump's Travel Ban 2.0. The original action, on hold for over a month after a federal judge blocked it, was tweaked, with the president quietly signing the new action behind closed doors this morning. Members of his cabinet officially unveiling it today, although it won't take effect until March 16th.
The United States has a right to control who enters our country and to keep out those who would do us harm.
Among the biggest changes from the first order, Iraq has been dropped from the original 7 Muslim-majority countries. Secondly, Syrian refugees will no longer be put in a separate category, but instead dealt with just like other refugees. And thirdly, legal temporary residents with a visa or green card will be exempt from the ban altogether. Despite the key changes, the president's critics still think the ban is too extreme.
It's not about actually making us safer, and it alienates a lot of people that either we want to help, like refugees, or who we need to fight terrorism.
Lawmakers, meanwhile, from both sides of the aisle, still trying to make sense of President Trump's weekend Twitter call-out of former President Obama for allegedly wiretapping Trump Tower in the lead-up to the 2016 election.
We've had experience. The Obama administration has been notorious on this type of stuff, and we're going to look hard at it.
A spokesperson for former President Obama has denied the wiretapping allegations made by President Trump. In Washington, Joel Waldman, WSBT 22 News.
After more than a month of reworking the original travel ban executive order, the Trump administration unveiled a new 2.0 version.
This executive order responsibly provides a needed pause. We can carefully review how we scrutinize people coming here from these countries of concern.
Now, travelers from 6 Muslim-majority countries, Sudan, Yemen, Somalia, Iran, Libya, and Syria, will not be allowed into the United States for 90 days. Iraq is not included on the list because the Iraqi government enacted stronger security measures, according to the Trump administration.
Iraq is an important ally in the fight to defeat ISIS. The United States welcomes this kind of close cooperation.
The first order took effect immediately, which led to confusion and chaos. This time, it will be phased in.
The State Department will coordinate with other federal agencies and implement these temporary restrictions in an orderly manner.
Also new, Syrian refugees will no longer be indefinitely banned from entry to the U.S., and green card holders from barred countries will not be affected. Last month, a federal judge blocked the president's executive order, and Democrats are pleased with the revisions, but believe the repackaged order is still unconstitutional.
Well, I'm glad that Iraq is off the list. It should never have been on the list to begin with. I think it puts a nice little spin on it, but it's still a Muslim ban. I don't think it makes America any safer. If anything, it provides our enemies like ISIS a recruiting tool.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly said this time the agencies thoroughly explained the executive order to members of Congress so there wouldn't be any surprises. On Capitol Hill, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
Area religious leaders say they're concerned about religious freedom and their safety. The Coalition for Immigration Reform met today at a South Bend mosque. They say their worshipers are concerned about being discriminated against. They also spoke against the new executive order banning immigrants from 6 predominantly Muslim countries.
That we will not stand for religious profiling on any so-called litmus test, all of which is a violation of our basic human rights and freedoms.
Imam Muhammad says he's asked for more police presence at the mosque in light of threats to mosques nationwide. Mayor Pete Buttigieg is opening up about his run for DNC chair and what's next for him. In a one-on-one interview with WSBT 22, the mayor said he was torn about the race. He said he loves his job as mayor, but felt he needed to fulfill a need for the Democratic Party, the same type of need that he felt when he became mayor in 2012.
But what I knew was I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people. I wanted things to go differently because it was me and not somebody else involved. And that's what we've been able to do and continue to do, thanks to my team and the community that I'm in here in South Bend. But I know I can't be mayor forever. I recognize that. Although I met one person who was mayor of Charleston, South Carolina for 40 years and seemed pretty happy throughout. That's probably not going to be my story.
Buttigieg opens up about the next chapter of his story and whether that includes South Bend. Don't miss Suzanne Spencer's one-on-one. That's tomorrow night at 10 right here on WSBT 22 News on Fox. Well, a big vote tonight that could impact people in Mishawaka. Still ahead at 10, how much more you might have to pay for water. And the city of Elkhart is taking new strides to ensure the town's safety. See what's planned for this $1 million investment.
More than 30 farms in Tennessee are under quarantine after the first confirmed U.S. case of H7 bird flu. I'm Jonathan Seri. I'll have the story coming up.
And brand new data coming into our future cast will help time out the storms for you hour by hour. That is next.
Visit